Hi everyone, it's Brittany, and today we are doing the third membership Q&A. So as always, I'm just going to be reading from my laptop, which is right next to me here, and I'm just going to read through the questions and answer them with you as we go. So let's just get started. First question. I am hearing the perspective of negative emotions creating disease. Okay. Is this just an assumption? Can you have negative emotions for a long period of time and not get sick? On the other hand, I know that emotions are just manifestations of our identity. So emotions, practically speaking, cannot create, right? Well, yes, that is true. So it is just an assumption. But as you said, emotions are simply manifestations of an identity. So emotions and thoughts on their own cannot create. Yes, we can use our power by attaching ourselves to that emotion or thought, or buying into it, believing that it's the truth for us, identifying with it, making it mean something about who we are. And then, yes, absolutely, that thought or emotion will appear to be manifested, but it's not the emotion or the thought. It's you, the power that you give to that emotion or thought. So, this is why I say over and over again, do not identify with thoughts or feelings. They are simply manifestations. You allow them to be here. You don't try to run away from them or fix them, because the moment that you do that, you are implying that that is the truth, that it's real, that it can cause some sort of problem for you, or that it has any sort of power over you. So, really, by allowing all of it, allowing yourself to feel whatever you're feeling at any given moment, allowing whatever thoughts that come in to be there moment by moment, but doing nothing with them, never attaching yourself to any of these things, is the way that you can not worry about any sort of emotion or thought. So hopefully that makes sense. And to answer the first question, no, emotions don't cause disease. Now, if you have that idea as the truth, if you buy into that, if you believe that your negative emotions are causing you disease, then yes, you are going to have an experience where you are sick based off of the negative emotions that you're feeling. But in truth, no, that's not what's going on. Okay, so hopefully that answers your question. Okay. Hi, Brittany. Hi. I have a question about how to fulfill ourselves during the day whenever we notice lack or feel like something is missing. Okay. How can I learn to find the validation and love and security that I seek from a man within myself? Okay, good question. Because when I tell myself that I am all of these things, loved, adored, cherished, etc., it doesn't make me feel the same way as it does when my SP would tell me that. Okay. How do I fulfill my need for validation on my own? Okay, this is a great question and it's so important. So, here's the thing, and I want to give you guys an example. I was working with somebody who had told me that her SP would come to her house and tell her how amazing she was. He would bring her flowers. He would like adjust his plans for her all the time. And even though he was doing all of these things, she was still feeling incredibly insecure and didn't trust him. So again, the circumstances that are appearing have no built-in meaning. So your SP can come tell you, I'm in love with you, you're the only one for me. But if you don't buy into that, if you don't identify with that, if you don't validate yourself in that way, and you don't see yourself as somebody who is cherished, loved, and adored, no matter what the changing temporary 3D form is reflecting to you, it will not fulfill you. So when you say, it doesn't fulfill me unless I hear it from someone else, please understand that even when you hear it from someone else, that's temporary. That's a temporary feeling of satisfaction, but it isn't fulfillment. And clearly it's not, because you're still searching for that validation in that person. So you had a relationship with, and I know who you are. I know the person that's asking the question. You've been in relationships before where these guys are telling you what you want to hear, but it hasn't ever been enough, has it? Because it doesn't last. So really understanding that no matter what it is, guys, it's not the form that you're looking for. It's not the words that your SP says to you. It's not them showing up to your house with a beautiful bouquet of flowers. Cool. All of those experiences temporarily might feel nice, but if you are not identified with being that person, those feelings are not going to last. And even more, like I mentioned with that client, she's not even believing in what her SP is saying to her and, the actions that he's taking and the ways that he's trying to show her that he loves her. That isn't enough because she doesn't believe it about herself. She doesn't give it to herself within. Therefore, that's a temporary, fleeting emotion. And then you're going to come right back to realizing that you're not fulfilled still. There's something missing. So please understand when I say give it to yourself, yes, there's tons of ways you can do it by imagining things, by talking to yourself, by having inner conversations. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter what you're doing. It's the acceptance that this is who you are. And really, truthfully, the only way that you're going to get to a place where you can accept this is by coming back to the foundational truth. You are absolutely everything. At any given moment, when you look out into the 3D world, all you're doing is perceiving one point of view, just one point of view. And from a human's perspective, you can only ever see a point of view. You cannot see the full picture. So please realize that it's not about what you seem to believe that is happening outside of you. It's not what's temporarily showing up in form. It's understanding who you are. And really, by practicing bringing your awareness back to the truth is the way that this is going to happen. Again, not basing any of this off of temporary fleeting emotions, because from day to day, you can feel a range of emotions. And somebody else had asked a question about well, if I were in this relationship, I wouldn't be feeling anxious. I wouldn't be feeling sad. I wouldn't be feeling lonely. But truthfully, that's a condition. You're creating a story that says, unless I feel 100% all the time calm and happy and in love, then I cannot possibly have a relationship. And that is really, really putting yourself into a small little box and making it quite difficult to experience what you want to experience. Stop basing any of this off of the constantly changing emotions and thoughts. Okay. So again, going back to your question, really realizing that you will never, ever experience, or I should change the word, you will never, ever receive what you want to receive outside of yourself without first giving that to yourself, identifying yourself as that, defining yourself as that. And you do that with the foundational understanding that I am all things. At any given moment, I'm just looking through one perspective, but it isn't the full picture. It isn't the whole truth. The whole truth is that I am the source of absolutely everything in my life. So if I want to experience something, I better absolutely be prepared to give that to myself. And again, to make it super clear, it doesn't mean if you want to experience a loving, safe relationship with an SP that you have to continue to imagine that specific thing playing out. It just means that you have to start recognizing that I am security. Without security, without myself, without me as the source, as security, I couldn't even experience what security appeared to be in this physical form. I had to first know security within myself to experience it out here. And yes, there will be times where, again, an SP might say, you're the most amazing woman I've ever met. But if you don't truly believe that, if you don't see that as true, what is that going to do for you? A temporary feeling that will then leave and you will come right back to not feeling fulfilled within yourself. So I hope that this is all making sense. I can talk more about this in a future video, but really just by understanding who you are and the way that this works and looking at your experiences so far up to this point, you can easily see that regardless of what was being presented to you in form, it wasn't ever enough to satisfy you or to make you feel secure or to make you feel safe or loved. So really, by recognizing what you've done up to this point hasn't worked, should show you that that's not the way. So I hope that this was a clear response. Okay, so next question. Why is it that when we experience a reflection of, let's say, having flawless skin, after previously being in the awareness of having scars, some people shift in a way where others still remember the past, while for others, people have always known them as someone with flawless and beautiful skin? Okay, hold on a second. So when we're talking about some people do this, other people do this, recognize that all of these other people that you're talking about are simply just a form of you. So you exist in absolutely every single thing. You exist in all realities and all experiences. You're multidimensional, you're infinite. So when you, let's say for this example, if you've been identifying yourself as somebody that has problem skin, scars, you said, of having scars, just because you're identifying yourself with that does not mean that it will be 100% impossible for you to experience anything other than scars. Remember, you exist in everything, and 3D forms are constantly moving and shifting. So because you're aware of the fact that it's possible to have clear skin, you could end up having that type of experience. What matters is that the way that you define that experience. So most people who have scars on their face, if they have an experience where they have clear skin for a few days or weeks or whatever, they're going to come up with some sort of reason why this is not going to last. This is just a fluke. I'm sure my skin will be back to its old horrible ways pretty soon. Like, if you aren't defining yourself as someone with clear skin, it will only be a temporary experience where you have the skin that you want. Does that make sense? So really understanding that you exist in anything, so everything is possible for you to exist, or excuse me, everything is possible for you to experience, but depending on what shows up and how you choose to define it for yourself is going to be the way that you continually experience it. So let me use another example. For people who, go on and say like, I've never been loved by anyone. Nobody ever wants to be with me. Nobody ever wants to commit to me. That does not exclude them from having an experience where someone shows up and does want to commit to them or does tell them that they love them. But depending on the way that you define yourself is going to be the way that you experience it. So like that previous example that I used, just because this person shows up and tells you, I want to commit to you and I love you, most people that are defining themselves in a way of, I've never been committed to and never been loved, are going to look at that situation and say, what is this person doing? Are they trying to manipulate me? Are they trying to trick me into trusting them so that they can take advantage of me? Do you see what I'm saying? So it's not about the temporary form or appearance that's being reflected. It's the way that you look at it and how you choose to define it based off of who you choose to be or who you say you are. So again, the experience is not in the temporary form. It is in the way that you define yourself and what you make that thing mean to you and your experience. So hopefully that helps you. And then the second question, which is something that several people have asked me, and it is asking about divine timing. It says, Neville used to talk about divine timing, where people would decide on their new identity, but only experienced 1 or 2 years later. Is divine timing simply another perception? Well, yes, it is. First of all, understanding that the only time is here and now. That's all that there ever is. That's all that there ever will be. So divine timing is right here and right now. Now, based off of what you define for yourself is going to be the way that you experience it. I am planning on doing a video all about time, so I'll probably talk about it more in that video, but really just understanding that There is never any time. You don't need to wait for anything. You simply shift to the awareness of being the version of you that you choose to be. And then you recognize that in that moment, regardless of what appears to be showing up in temporary 3D form, that doesn't change who you are. So for example, let's say you go to work and halfway through the drive there, you realize that you don't have your phone with you. It's not in the car. You might panic for a moment, but that doesn't all of a sudden change the fact that you own a phone. So you're not going to be at work worried about like, oh my gosh, do I own a cell phone? Do I need to go buy one? What's going on? No, you're just going to chalk it up to, I forgot it. I left it at home. But just because I'm not seeing it right now does not all of a sudden change the fact that I own a phone. I am still the owner of a phone, and I know that I'll have it later on when I go home. So just recognizing that a temporary form is simply one point of view, and how you're looking at things will determine the way that forms show up for you and appear for you. So again, there is no divine timing. It's right here and right now. Okay? That's all that there is. That's all that there will ever be. So this is why I say, are you this person or are you not? Are you using changing temporary forms to determine who you are, or are you choosing based off of who you know yourself to be? Forms are constantly moving and shifting and changing, but who you are is what matters, okay? So again, I like to use this example because I think most people can understand it. Let's say you have a best friend and you define yourself in that relationship as this person I am so close with, we trust each other, I can always rely on them. But what if one day they get sick and they're not feeling well and they don't return your calls? Are you going to make that mean, oh my gosh, this person isn't as good of a friend as I thought they were? I knew I couldn't rely on them. I knew I couldn't trust them. Or are you going to recognize, well, that doesn't really make any sense because I've always been able to rely on them and trust them. So I know that it must mean that something's going on with her, and whatever it is, she'll come back and let me know. Do you see what I'm saying? So again, it's not about the temporary forms that are showing up at any given moment. It's about the way that you define yourself. And at any given moment, the only time is now. You define yourself right now, right here in this moment, and truly choose to only accept that as who you are, allowing the forms to rearrange themselves based off of how you define who you say you are. Okay. Next question. You mentioned that it's the other way around, that things want to be with us and that we are the ones that our desires are after. Oh, okay. So what you're saying is, instead of us wanting our desires, it's that our desires want us. What do you mean by that? Well, first of all, I don't think I ever said that your desires want you, but what I am implying is that absolutely anything and everything that you could ever dream up of having or experiencing can only exist because you are the source of those things. So let's say a car. You desire a new car, but that car could not even exist without you first recognizing its existence, without you as the source being aware of it. So it's not that this car wants you, it's that everything is energy, and you are the source of all of these things. You are the source of that energy. So this car, like I said, cannot exist without you first being aware of it. So really, you don't need anything. Everything needs you to be experiencing you and your reality. Everything needs you to survive. So that's what I was saying. Like this SP that you might really want, they can only exist because you are the source of their existence, just like everything in your experience. So I'm not saying that these things are desiring you. I'm saying that from an energy standpoint, all of it needs your energy as the source, as that one awareness in your experience to give life to it. Hopefully that makes things clear. Okay. How to embody, hold on, let me go down. How to embody the I am state. Okay. Is it required to feel or sense something, or do something somehow get into, okay. Is it required to feel or sense something or to do something somehow to get into the I am? Okay, first of all, you don't have to get into the I am. That is who you are. That's who you are. So you could spend the rest of your life never knowing this and you wouldn't have to do anything. It would still be who you are. So there is no practice that you have to do to get into a state. You are all states. You're everything. You don't ever have to force yourself to do anything. It is all simply recognizing that this is who I really am here. I am not just this limited human being that can only perceive through one perspective at a time or one point of view at a time. I am infinitely bigger than all of it. So at any given moment, you are only looking through one perspective. I think I use this example with you guys, but at any given moment, you're only looking through one window, but you can choose to look through a completely different window and have a completely different experience. At the core, you are always the I am. You are always this source, this infinite intelligence. That's who you are, and it doesn't matter if you know it or not. Now, obviously, I understand why you're asking. You want to experience yourself as who you really are. And the way that you do that is just by simply bringing your awareness to it. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. Now, yes, I always say that there's practices that you guys can do. You can take really deep breaths and focus on your breath by realizing that that is the God within you. You can simply just choose to know this, become aware of it, and then you will start to experience it in your life. So again, by becoming aware of this, and when I say becoming aware, I simply just mean putting your attention on it. Doesn't mean you have to believe it. Doesn't mean you have to know it for a fact. It just means in this moment, I'm becoming aware of it. And when you become aware of it, it is going to be experienced. The more you choose to bring your awareness to it, the more you will recognize what this means. So it's not a like a step-by-step thing that you have to do to realize who you are. Again, you can't really find yourself in that way. But think about this. The sheer fact that this human character has blood pumping through its veins at all hours of the day, all the time. The simple fact that your heart is beating perfectly in the way that it needs to. Really, the simple fact that you wake up every single day and that is all being done through the source, through the God, through I am that exists within you. It becomes very apparent that there is something much bigger than this human you that is taking care of all of these things. So just by recognizing that, you can choose to know who you are. But again, like I said, there's nothing that you have to do to get there. It's who you are. It's who you are. Okay. When I create my new story, should I keep affirming it or is once enough? Does affirmations help get things faster or does affirming once do the same? Okay. Hopefully I'm understanding your question. There is no should. It is realizing that in that moment that I desire something and I know who I am, I accept it as the truth, it's done. It's done. There's nothing more for you to do. Now, sure, you can affirm it however often you choose to, but here's the thing. Are you affirming it from a place of trying to make it so? Are you affirming it from a place of trying to experience it in the 3D world? Because if that's what you're doing, it's not going to manifest. That's coming from lack. That's coming from believing that you have to do something, you have to affirm to make it happen. When you realize that the moment I desire it, it's mine, it's done, I don't have to do anything for it to be so, but acknowledge it and accept it, then you decide whether or not you want to affirm once or 1,000 times. As long as you're doing it from knowing it's already mine and I'm simply enjoying reminding myself of who I already am, then that's exactly how you'll experience it. But again, there is no faster or slower, okay? There is no time. Everything is here and now. So what I would say is start being present, start recognizing what's going on here, start leaning into just simply being and existing. And in that existing, knowing that who you are has everything. There's nothing missing. At any given moment, you're looking through one tiny perspective, but it isn't the whole. So just by recognizing that I already have it, and then going on about your day, doing whatever it is that feels good to you because you don't have to make anything happen, is the way that I personally suggest to do it. Okay. How to assume perfect health? Well, there is no right or wrong. Just by understanding, excuse me. Sorry, guys, I'm going to take a sip real quick of water. Okay. So how to assume perfect health? Well, first of all, by recognizing that you are health itself. As the source, you are perfect, whole, and complete, and nothing is missing. Ever. So by recognizing that, you can choose to be healthy, to be health itself, to be living that most active, abundant lifestyle, whatever it is for you. Here's the thing. Everybody has a different idea of what health means. Really, I know that might sound crazy, but every single person has a different definition of what health means to them. So I can't tell you specifically how you're going to do it, but by understanding that you couldn't even desire health if it weren't already the truth of who you are. Honestly, guys, any desire that you have, the only reason you have the desire is because it's a part of you that already exists. And it exists within you right now, right here. So when you have that desire, it's literally the I am within you reminding you that this is a part of you, that you have this available to you right now. And at any moment, you can choose to identify with it. Or you can continue to identify with being ill or unhealthy. And even though that's not a fact, that is the way that you will experience your 3D experience. So yeah, hopefully that's helpful for you. Okay. To receive our desires, do we have to put in the work, such as affirming, meditating, visualizing the wish fulfilled, and feel it now? No. So I kind of answered it already, but the fact that you have the desire, it already means it's yours. Now, understanding that in that moment that you have the desire, it's yours. That's all that there is that needs to be done. But what most people do is they deny that. They don't accept that that's the case, and they keep insisting, based off of their 5 senses, that it's not the truth. And because we're using our free will to choose who we choose to be and experience this 3D avatar character, that's the way that we're going to experience it. So really, just by going back to the truth of who you are, which is absolutely everything right now, right here in this moment, perfect, whole, and complete, perfect health, perfect wealth, perfect love, all of it. That's who you are. And then continue to move on through your day, knowing that, remembering that. That's it. That's all that you ever need to do, guys. So yeah, you don't have to do any of those things, but if you choose to do them, do it from the place of knowing, I'm doing this because it feels good. I'm doing this because it reminds me of who I am, not because I'm trying to force something to show up out there. Okay? How to deal with resentment towards the person that you want back. Okay, well, first of all, realizing that any resentment, any negative feelings towards someone else, all that is coming from you in a story that you made up. That's it. So really realizing that no matter what you say happened or didn't happen is coming from a story. Yes, creation is finished. So absolutely anything and everything that could ever happen or that will ever happen has already happened. What you're doing at any given moment is looking through one point of view and then claiming that as the truth, that this is what happened. But truthfully, that's not what's going on. It's all happened. And you get to determine what's true for you. So you can feel the way that you're feeling. The character can feel resentment, but you come back and remind yourself, I don't have to view it that way anymore. I don't have to look out here and decide that that's the way that things have happened. I can choose a different experience. I can choose a different perspective. And that will then change the way that I feel about the situation. So really, it goes back to defining yourself as your ideal, perfect, whole, and complete, never missing anything, and then choosing to see everything in my life as proof of that, regardless of the changing emotions that I might feel at any given moment. So hopefully that helps. I'm going to talk a little bit more about feelings and current 3D circumstances as well, but I'll talk about that in a different video. Okay. How would you change your mindset of being ghosted by an SP and have them actually in my reality fully committed? Okay, so first of all, just recognizing that nobody and no one can ever deny you anything. Remember, this is your personal world. So again, you had an experience where you perceived that someone ghosted you, but because you were labeling it in that way, you chose to experience it in that way. There are a million reasons as to why somebody maybe stopped reaching out to you, but you looked at that and said, I'm being ghosted. And so it had to appear that way. So just by realizing that all it ever was, guys, if you've ever experienced anything that you say was unpreferred by you and you feel like you can't move on from it and you feel like you're holding on to it, please recognize that all that was a misconception on your part. You were looking at something from the wrong point of view. So choose to look at it through a different point of view. That's it. You don't have to fix your mindset. You have to recognize that if I am perfect, whole, and complete right here, right now, nothing is ever missing in my life. Nobody is ever out there to hurt me or to get one over on me or to take advantage of me or to ghost me at all. These are all just changing forms. So I get to determine what that actually means. And if I continue to label it as I was ghosted, I will continue to have that experience. But if I choose to look at it differently, or I choose to say, actually, this is the way that it went, and that's all that I'm accepting, then it will have to appear differently. Okay? All right, next question. When we truly understand the power of I am, we realize that we are the creators of our reality. Now, this awareness will allow us to shape our future experience moving forward so that we can experience desired outcomes. Yeah. But how do we handle the intense guilt and regret that arise when we recognize that our own fears and insecurities caused us to push away what was once beautifully offered to us? Okay, so here's the thing. I kind of touched on it already, but let me just reiterate. No matter what you believed you experienced, that is coming from right now in this moment. That is coming from your current perspective. So you're insisting that there's a story that I did X, Y, and Z, and now that I realize that it all came from me, I'm feeling guilt and shame because I ruined a relationship because of the way that I was looking at it. But understand that that's happening now. This didn't happen in the past. There's nothing to feel guilt or shame for. Right now, you get to choose differently. You get to look at it differently. There doesn't ever need to be any regret because it's all happening right now in this moment. Remember, there is no past where you broke up with somebody too soon because you thought that they were doing X, Y, and Z. Let me see the second part of your question. For example, in the case of a specific person, everything was going well, yet the aspects of them that I disliked were actually reflections of my own inner state. Now that I understand this, I feel an overwhelming sense of guilt and regret. So yeah, really understanding that this is all happening now. You're claiming that it happened in the past. I get it. That's the way that we experience things, but it's happening right now in this moment. So right now, you get to choose to look at it differently. Right now, you get to realize, wow, I was completely wrong. I was looking at that whole thing wrong, and now I can choose to see it again in a preferred way. So you can choose to see that that person loved you and was always there for you. You can choose to see that actually nothing ever went wrong in our relationship and we're still together to this day. By realizing who you are, living in the now moment, and that's all that there ever is or ever will be, change it. Choose to look at it differently. You can't hold on to things that you believe happened in the past because nothing happens in the past. You're right now in this moment from this current identity claiming that this is what's happened. It hasn't actually happened that way. So right now, choose to look at it differently. And don't worry about the feelings. They're going to change based off of the way that you experience things. So don't worry about the feelings. Feel what you need to feel. But give yourself some credit and remind yourself that, what a relief. I get to choose differently. I get to look at it differently now. And when I look at things differently, things around me will change and appear to be different. That's it. Okay, similar question again. Can you talk about how to be more aware of I am? So guys, I want to read this quote to you real quick because I wrote it down. This is by Rumi, the poet. And he says, "You wander from room to room, hunting for the diamond necklace that is already around your neck." Guys, you continue to search and search and search for something that you will never find because it is you. It exists within you. This is who you are. So if you logically understand it, that's great, but clearly it's not enough. You keep asking for more answers. You keep searching for more, and you're not going to find it because it all exists within you. So what I suggest you do is just taking time, a few minutes every single day, to be still. To be still, to be present. And when I say be still, that doesn't mean you have to be completely shut off in a room where there's no noise or no external, stimuli going on. That's fine. But just choose to be still, relax, rest, breathe, and recognize who you are. And even when I say recognize, I just mean bring your awareness to this truth. I am. I exist. Guys, ask yourself this question. Do I exist? Do I exist? And no matter what, no matter when you ask yourself this question, the answer will always be yes. Always. That's who you are. You are simply existence. You are life itself. You are absolutely everything. But when you're running around searching for an answer, when you're looking outside of yourself to find what you're searching for, you're not going to find it there. You're not going to find it there. It isn't there. It's you. It's you. And I don't mean the character. I mean you as existence, as awareness itself. That's who you are. So again, practicing every day if you want to. This isn't required, but it's just a suggestion. Sitting and being with yourself, being present, just being aware. And I promise you guys, the more you do this, the more it's going to become very obvious. But I cannot give that to you. No matter what I say, it will never be enough. You have to give this to yourself. And I know that it might feel uncomfortable to do. That's the character wanting to survive, wanting to keep that illusion going. But practice. Sit with yourself, be quiet, be still, and know the truth. And it will become apparent to you, I promise. Okay, back to the next question. Let's see. Okay. Just wondering if you can address these two questions. If I choose to give myself whatever I desire in my imagination, what's the difference between daydreaming and using my imagination? Nothing. Nothing unless you say that there is. So you do not have to do this in any sort of way. There's no perfect way to do this. And, I know there's a lot of people out there that love Neville and they say, well, Neville says that it's this way, that you must visualize it and feel the tones of reality. And then when you accept that it's the truth. But it's not that. That's not the way. The way is your way. So I can't tell you your way. I can tell you my way and the way that I choose to do it. I tend to lean more into the fact that you are the answer. You're all of it. You're the source. That's who you are. So you determine how your life goes. Realizing that I am absolutely everything here and now. And what I say must be, because this is my world. This is my personal world. How could it be any other way but the way that I say it is? It can't. So just by trusting in yourself and leaning into this truth of who you are, that's the way that it works. So as long as you aren't labeling a difference between daydreaming and visualizing or daydreaming and imagination, there is no difference. Same thing with first person or third person. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But if you buy into what someone else says about it, it has to be this way, well then, yes, it will have to be that way for you. Don't do that. Don't accept that for yourself. Remind yourself that I am the way, not Mary or Neville or Brittany, but I. So I choose how I do this, and I determine what is true for me. That's it. End of story. And then the second question, can you elaborate a bit more on how to identify with the version of myself I want to be? Well, yeah, I mean, again, just by realizing you're all of it right now. So at any given moment, you get to choose to look through a specific point of view. So what I've done is go back to the truth of who I am. I am the faceless, formless, invisible substance of power. I am the authority. I am all that there is. And from there, I'm choosing to animate this character. That's how I do it. You don't have to do it that way. So you can do it very, very broad, like I am the version of me that's living my best life in all ways. Or you can get incredibly detailed and just describe everything by personality, by physical attributes, by lifestyle, whatever. It doesn't matter. Here's the thing. Whatever you desire is already fulfilled in the desiring of it. So you don't have to be specific. I am knows exactly what it means when you say, I am living my best life in all ways. So depending on you and what you want, you can get incredibly detailed, or you can just leave it up to source, because source is you and knows everything that you want, even better than the human identity can understand it. So that's what I suggest, but do what feels best for you. Okay. There is 2 more questions. Okay. How to manifest a skill like being fluent in a language or knowing how to play an instrument that I've never played. I don't understand how this will manifest if I don't do anything to learn. Okay. So here's the thing, guys. When you're choosing, like, let's say a skill, for example, to be fluent in a language or to play an instrument really well that you've never played, I'm not saying that you're going to wake up one day and just know it. Is that possible? Of course. You could just wake up tomorrow and speak fluent in a language that you've never known before. You could. Why? Because as source, you are fluent in all languages. As source, you do play every single instrument flawlessly. As source, you know everything that there ever is to know, and that's that. As source, you are all things. You are every single possibility that exists right now in this moment. But from this human perspective, you are looking through one point of view, as I've said. So it could be that you wake up in fluent French or whatever it is. It could be that you wake up and all of a sudden know how to play guitar. But for most people, if that's not what they're expecting to experience, there will be some sort of unfolding where it happens in a more natural way. It doesn't have to be that way, though. It does not have to be that way. I'm just saying that most people are expecting that, well, if I'm going to know how to play an instrument, I'm going to have to at least pick up the instrument, for example. So however it comes about, however it unfolds, will be natural. You just choose to identify yourself as somebody that is fluent in this language or who flawlessly plays this instrument. That doesn't mean that you don't go to someone or you don't take the steps that are necessary for you to learn that language. It's that when you're doing it, when you're going to a class, for example, to learn the language, you're doing it from the perspective of knowing, I already speak this language fluently, and it makes sense for me to take these lessons right now. I don't know why it would, but here's the thing. You're going to be inspired to do what needs to be done for you to have that experience. So I've used this example so many times before, but I was looking for a new job, and I spent almost a year applying to jobs over and over and over and over again. But that whole year, I was doing it from a place of, I desperately need a job and I don't have one and I don't know what I'm going to do. I never even got one interview, guys, because I was so heavily identified with being this person that didn't have a job and that was desperate to have one. When I dropped all of that and I just said, I'm so tired of doing this, I'm just trusting that somehow, some way, the perfect job will appear to me. And guess what? I had an urge to go to this new coffee shop. To me, that was not, oh, okay, that means I'm going to get a job. No, that means I want to go to this new coffee shop because it seems cool, seems fun, seems exciting, and I want to try it. And as I did that, I just happened to be in the perfect place and the perfect time for this woman to approach me and offer me a job. I wouldn't have known that. I wouldn't have known that that was going to happen until I experienced it, until after the fact I saw what it gave me. So something that I wanted to mention is that when you guys look out at any given moment at the 3D world and determine this isn't working, nothing's happening, it isn't the way that I think it should be based off a very limited human perspective, you're really doing yourself a disservice. Because how do you know? How do you know this is not how it's supposed to look? How do you know that you going to take a walk in a different place is not going to lead you to learning how to speak fluent in the language that you want to speak? How do you know? You don't know. So let's stop judging the 3D. Let's stop judging the temporary changing forms and choose to define ourselves as who we want to be, regardless of what the 3D is saying or showing us. And yes, you get to define yourself as somebody who is fluent in a language and be open to the way that it will come about, open to the way that you will experience it. Okay? If you want to be specific, you can just decide that I will wake up one day being fluent in a language. As long as you continue to identify yourself in that way, it will appear that way. That's it. Okay. Okay, this is quite a long question. I'm going to try to summarize it. And guys, like when you're sending questions for the Q&A, feel free to ask whatever question, but try to keep it at least like a sentence or two, because I can't really just be reading paragraphs. It takes quite a while. Okay. I have 2 SPs. Do I have to choose between them? No, you don't. Okay. I fear to either stay stuck on SP1 and not open for someone else who might be better for me, or I'll just settle with SP2 because I can't have SP1 and I don't want to be alone. Okay, so hold on. Listen. You're not manifesting an SP. You're not manifesting SP1. You're not manifesting SP2. You're not manifesting SP unknown. You're not manifesting any of that. That's not what's happening. What you're doing is manifesting yourself, manifesting a version of you that's in a beautiful relationship. You don't have to choose. You will have an experience where both of these guys, and maybe more than these 2 guys, will approach you and show up in the most ideal way for you. And then you can choose if you want, or you can have both. It really doesn't matter. But here's the thing. This isn't about them. It's not about this person. Think about before you knew anything about manifestation. Did you come up with an idea of someone that you'd never met before and decide that, okay, I want a boyfriend and this guy is going to be named Paul. He's going to be 6'2". He's going to have brown eyes. He's going to have pale skin. I mean, you could have done that, but I think for most people, we just decide, I would love to be in an amazing relationship. And that's it. That's it. That's all we do. And then guess what happens? Someone shows up into our lives and they're just somehow that perfect person for us. It's not by chance. It's not a coincidence. It's because as source, that's what's going on here. You don't have to be specific. You don't have to figure out who the person's going to be. You have to be the person that it could happen for. And when you are in a place where you are okay with where you are and you aren't desperately searching or trying to make something happen, all of the things that you desire present themselves to you. So it's really understanding, no, you do not have to pick between SP1 or SP2. You have to realize that you have to choose yourself. You have to choose yourself, and that will allow you to have an experience where both of these guys are showing up in the perfect, ideal way. As long as you aren't sitting here saying, well, no, he's been this way, he's always been this way, he's never going to change. Well, then, okay, he's going to appear that way. But when you realize it's not about these people only showed up in the way that they did based off of you and who you were being, how you were defining yourself. That's it. So stop worrying about these two guys and what's going on with them and start focusing on who you are. You're the main character, okay? You're the main character of your life. So stop making these extras the main character. They're not. You can have that experience where they are, but that's not what's really going on. So literally imagine yourself in a movie playing that main character and walking around narrating your life all day, every day. Are you constantly talking about what SP1 is doing or what SP2 is experiencing or thinking or feeling or... No, it doesn't make any sense. You are focused on your perspective, your point of view. So choose to look at yourself differently and allow these guys to show up in a different way for you. And then the second part of the question, it says, I have been practicing fulfilling myself whenever I feel alone, and combined with this, if I keep living my life normally until my desired reality unfolds, aren't my 3D actions contradicting the unfolding? Example, if I ask SP2 to meet up, or if we start dating again, and internally I am also affirming imagining for SP1. No. Again, the 3D world has no creative power. It's a reflection. So it doesn't matter what you do or don't do out there. If you are not identified with your ideal, it will not help you. But if you do everything from the identity of being who you want to be, which is in a beautiful, loving, committed relationship, that's it, then whatever you do in the 3D world or don't do in the 3D world will not matter. It will be perfect. It's not about actions. It's not about, oh, I'm deciding that I'm in a relationship with SP1, but I'm going on a date with SP2. So what? That has nothing to do with anything. Everything is meaningless in this 3D experience unless you're giving it meaning. So if you don't feel that you can do both of those things, then don't do it. But there's plenty of people who decide that they're going to be in a relationship and then they date other people until that other person comes in. The whole point is for you to be the person now. Be the person that's loved, that's cherished, that's committed to, that's adored. And allow everything else to conform around that. Again, remember, 3D experiences, 3D reflections are symbols of who you are. They're not proof. They don't have their own built-in meaning. They're constantly changing forms, reflecting you. So really getting clear on who it is that you are. Again, that first question that I answered should help you understand. You're not deciding, I'm in this relationship with this person. Yes, you can decide that, but it sounds like you don't know and you don't want to choose yet, and that's fine. You don't have to. You can still be the person. You can still be the person that's in a beautiful relationship. Or you can even go broader and just decide, I am love itself. Therefore, everything I experience is proof of how loved I am, regardless of what it might appear to be to the human mind. And choose that regardless and allow things to shift and move for you to prove it to you. That's it. Let's see. Oops. Okay. I think that was the last question. Yes, it was. I have more, but I'm going to have to stop here because the next question is going to be something that I'm going to be doing a video on anyway. So I'm just going to leave it here. Okay, guys, I hope that you enjoyed this. I love doing these Q&As, but guys, really, I want to remind you again, really reiterate it. None of these things matter. None of these things matter. You determine what matters. And in my experience, simply choosing to live my life however I want to, knowing that I am absolutely everything, knowing that I'm the source of everything in my life, choosing to see that everything is perfect, no matter what my human self wants to judge it as at any given moment, has just given me so much freedom and so many amazing experiences that I never knew were possible for me. So, really keeping it as simple as possible, not trying to get super hung up on what about this? What about that? What if this happens? What if SP says this? What if I thought this thought? Guys, that's all wasted energy focusing on things that actually have no effect on anything. The only thing that matters is who are you? Who do you say you are? And I choose to go straight to the top, the absolute truth, that I am none of these identities. I am the all. I am the source. I am life itself. I am reality itself. And so my way and how I decide to do things is the perfect way. And that's what I want you guys to do too. Start asking yourself. Start spending time with yourself, getting to know yourself, getting to know what feels good to you, what doesn't feel good to you, playing around with these things, not taking any of this stuff so serious because it's not. It's not. This is all a game. This is all supposed to be fun. And yes, we're going to have our human emotions. We're going to have changing emotions where sometimes we feel great, sometimes we feel horrible. And guess what? That's all good. That's all more than good. That's a part of this experience. Do not use those changing feelings or thoughts or forms to define you and tell you who you are. That's it. All right, guys. Thank you so much for being here with me. I appreciate you guys so much. You're amazing. I love the comments. I love the questions. Keep them coming. If I didn't answer your question, please submit it again. Honestly, I have questions all over the place on so many different videos and my emails. And guys, I just want to let you know, it's all me. I'm doing this by myself. I don't have anyone helping me. So emails, comments, videos, all that stuff is just me. So it's going to help if you resend the question again because I can't really go back and search for it. So yes, I appreciate that. If you guys have another question, again, like I said, please resend it. And yeah, I love you guys so, so much. I hope you have an amazing, amazing start to your week, and I will see you soon.